Most people think Vikings ate like kings. Huge feasts, endless meat, overflowing drinking horns. But that image is a myth. Most Vikings never experienced daily feasts at all. Their real food was simple, repetitive, and shaped by survival. And once you see what Vikings actually ate every day, you'll understand their world in a completely different way. The real Viking diet was simple, seasonal, and practical. Most Vikings did not eat like warriors in legends. They ate like farmers, fishermen, and families trying to survive a harsh northern climate. The foundation of the Viking diet was grain. Barley, rye, and oats were the most important crops in Scandinavia. From these grains, Vikings made thick porridge, flatbreads, and simple loaves baked on stones or in clay ovens. Bread was not soft like modern bread. It was dense, dark, and often hard. But it was filling, durable, and essential for daily life. Porridge was eaten almost every day. It could be cooked with water, milk, or whey. Sometimes it included berries, nuts, or honey, if available. For many Viking families, porridge was breakfast, dinner, and sometimes supper. Meat was not eaten every day. Contrary to popular belief, most Vikings could not afford regular meat consumption. Animals were more valuable alive. Cows provided milk, sheep provided wool. Goats provided both milk and meat, but only occasionally. When meat was eaten, it usually came from pork, beef, goat, or sheep. Hunting provided deer, elk, boar, and birds, but success was unpredictable. Fish, however, was a daily staple. Living near seas, rivers, and lakes, Vikings relied heavily on fish. Herring, cod, salmon, and trout were common. Fish was eaten fresh, dried, smoked, or salted. Dried fish could last for months and was one of the most important survival foods. Milk and dairy were extremely important. Vikings drank milk, but more importantly, they turned it into longer-lasting products. Butter, cheese, and sour milk similar to skyr were common. These foods provided fat and protein, especially during winter. Vegetables were simple but essential. Vikings grew onions, cabbage, peas, beans, and turnips. Carrots existed, but they were small and pale compared to modern ones. Wild plants like nettles, sorrel, and herbs were gathered regularly. Fruit was seasonal. Apples, berries, and wild fruits were eaten fresh in summer and autumn. Excess fruit was dried or preserved when possible. Honey was the only real sweetener available and was highly valued. Food preservation was critical for Viking survival. Winter in Scandinavia could last for months. Fresh food disappeared quickly, and failure to prepare meant starvation. Vikings used simple but effective methods. Fish and meat were dried in cold air or smoked over low fires. This removed moisture and prevented decay. Salt was rare and expensive, so it was used carefully. When available, it allowed meat and fish to last longer. Fermentation was also common. Sour milk, fermented fish, and pickled vegetables were safer to eat and easier to store. These methods did not improve taste. They improved survival. For Vikings, preserved food meant security, not comfort. Viking food changed with the seasons. Summer offered fresh fish, milk, herbs, and berries. Autumn was the most important time of the year. Animals were slaughtered before winter. Grain was harvested and stored. Fruits and herbs were dried. Winter meals were the simplest, mostly preserved fish, dried meat, grain porridge, and dairy products. Spring was the hardest season. Stored food was running low, and fresh supplies had not yet returned. This seasonal cycle shaped Viking life. Food planning was a matter of experience and discipline. Viking food was cooked slowly. Most meals were prepared in large iron or clay pots over open fires. Stews were common because they allowed many ingredients to be cooked together. A single pot might simmer all day, with ingredients added gradually. Daily meals were eaten inside the longhouse. The longhouse was the center of Viking life. It was where people slept, worked, talked, and ate. Food was shared from common pots. There were no individual plates as we know them today. Wooden bowls, spoons, and cups were used by everyone. Meals were quiet and practical, not ceremonial. Eating together reinforced family bonds. Food was not entertainment. It was part of daily rhythm and survival. For Vikings, the longhouse was not just a home. It was protection against cold, darkness, and hunger. There were no written recipes. Cooking knowledge was passed down orally. Food was based on availability, not strict instructions. Taste was less important than nutrition and endurance. Viking food was closely connected to physical labor. Daily life required constant energy. Farming, fishing, building, sailing, and crafting demanded strength. Meals were designed to sustain effort, not comfort. Grain provided slow energy. Dairy added fat. Fish supplied protein. This balance supported long hours of work in cold conditions. Vikings understood their bodies through experience. They ate what allowed them to endure the day. Food was fuel, nothing more and nothing less. Feasts did exist, but they were rare. Large feasts were held for weddings, alliances, funerals, or religious festivals. These events were meant to show wealth and power, not everyday life. Alcohol was part of Viking culture, but not in excess. Ale and mead were common, but weak compared to modern alcohol. They were safer to drink than water and part of social rituals. Spices were limited. Salt was precious. Most flavor came from herbs, onions, garlic, and fermented ingredients. Daily Viking food was repetitive. People ate similar meals day after day. Survival mattered more than variety. This diet supported strength, endurance, and physical labor. It was not glamorous, but it worked. Viking food was not about pleasure. It was about endurance, preparation, and respect for resources. Their strength did not come from legendary feasts, but from simple meals that supported life in a harsh world. When we strip away the myths, we don't lose the Vikings. We finally understand them. If you enjoy exploring Viking life beyond the legends, subscribe to Nordic Realms. Here, we separate myth from reality.